Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Sunday, September 6th. This is Gina McGuire. We are not expecting any significant impacts with fire potential across the region. We may still see a few showers and thunderstorms today and Monday over the southern and eastern half of Utah, along with possibly over the central Idaho mountains, but humidity will also be increased with cooler temperatures and there will be some rainfall. Otherwise, warmer and drier conditions will be spreading across the Great Basin next week. Yesterday we did see lightning over the eastern half of Utah into southeast Idaho and western Wyoming, and some thunderstorms over central Idaho. These thunderstorms did bring areas of rainfall, with some areas seeing localized wetting rains. Over the last 7 days, the precipitation has been focused across Idaho, the eastern and southern half of Utah and Wyoming, with most areas seeing near to just below normal precipitation. However, the precipitation we have been seeing across Idaho was above normal, especially over the last several days. Very dry conditions have continued across Nevada into western Utah over the last week, and in most of Nevada over the last 14 days. Fire activity did increase yesterday across the Great Basin, with many small fires reported. However, initial attack was still light, and these fires remain small. Looking at the water vapor satellite image for this morning, low pressure remains over the northern Rockies, with breezy west to northwest flow across much of the Great Basin, along with cooler temperatures. This low will continue moving eastward, and we'll see high pressure in the south build back across the Great Basin as we move through next week, bringing warming temperatures. In the meantime, today fire potential will generally be low due to these cooler temperatures and recent precipitation, along with higher humidity over parts of Idaho and into Wyoming and the southern and eastern half of Utah, with still low to moderate fire potential over the western side of the Great Basin due to much drier conditions. Today, winds will be decreased from what we've seen recently, with afternoon wind gusts still being somewhat breezy across parts of Nevada and into the eastern half of the Great Basin. However, wind gusts will generally remain between 15 and 20 miles per hour and only slightly stronger over western Wyoming. Relative humidity will also remain in the single digits over much of Nevada, but generally remain in the teens to near 20% over the eastern half of the Great Basin. As we move into Monday, the main area of low pressure now moves off to the east. However, another weak disturbance may keep chances for isolated showers or thunderstorms into parts of the central Idaho mountains on Monday, and also moisture remaining over southern and eastern Utah will also keep chances for some showers and thunderstorms there as well, with drier conditions across the western half of Nevada into western Utah. Fire potential will still remain relatively low on Monday. If we look at the surface conditions, temperatures have been quite cold, especially across northern areas, and will still remain 10 to 15 degrees below normal on Monday, but will gradually be warming across Idaho and Wyoming, and will return to above normal eventually over parts of Nevada and Utah, with still dry conditions expected, with the exception of southern and eastern Utah and the central Idaho mountains, where we still may see some showers. By Tuesday, dry weather returns to all areas, along with warming temperatures, as high pressure starts to build north. We are seeing in the far lower left corner off the Baja Peninsula, this is Tropical Storm Linda, and this will continue to move slowly northwest, with none of the moisture making it into the Great Basin for the next week. Also, we'll start to see fire potential return to moderate over parts of the Sierra Front into western Nevada, where conditions have been much drier. On Tuesday, we'll see temperatures increase to above normal over the southern half of the Great Basin, and are still gradually increasing in the far north, with dry conditions in most areas. As we move through the middle to end of next week, we'll see the high pressure strengthen across the Great Basin, and this will allow for temperatures to return to 6 to 8 degrees above normal across the region. With very little moisture in place, we'll likely see very dry conditions with low relative humidity across the Great Basin. Also, Tropical Storm Linda off the Baja Peninsula, you'll watch as it moves gradually northwest and becomes a hurricane. However, none of this moisture looks like it will impact the Great Basin, at least for the next week. Looking at Thursday and towards the end of the week, we're starting to see a little bit of an increase in fire potential across the western and northern half of Nevada as these dry and warm conditions return. However, still over Idaho and Utah and Wyoming, areas that have seen much cooler temperatures with the moisture, it will take some time for this fire potential to recover, so generally low fire potential is expected this week. As we move towards Friday and Saturday, this increase in fire potential returns to the lower elevations of southwest Idaho and into western Utah. Temperatures again will remain above normal through the end of the week with dry conditions. Now looking at fire danger indices across the Great Basin, ERCs have decreased region-wide due to the cooler temperatures, however have dropped more significantly across Idaho due to much colder temperatures and precipitation, and are now well below normal. ERCs across the rest of Nevada and Utah still remain near or even just above normal in some areas. Live fuel moisture still remains near to below normal across the Great Basin. Very warm and dry conditions will likely continue through the first 2 weeks in September. As we approach the third week, we may still continue to see above normal temperatures and below normal precipitation chances early in the period. However, now models are trying to point at more areas of low pressure moving into the west coast by the 13th to 15th of September. Therefore, we may see a return to some below normal temperatures and even some moisture. That concludes our briefing for today. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you for listening.